The restaurant was buzzing with laughter, clinking glasses, and the sizzling sound of food leaving the kitchen. Yet, in the middle of it all, there was a young woman carrying trays with trembling hands, her eyes red as if they had been crying for hours. Customers were too busy with their own meals to notice, but one man sitting in the corner with his little girl did. He noticed the way her forced smile quivered at the edges, the way her lips pressed together as if holding back the flood of emotions inside. She tried to hide it, but when she turned away quickly to wipe a stray tear before placing down plates of steaming pasta, it was clear, this wasn't just a bad day at work. She was breaking silently in front of everyone, and no one cared to ask. Except him. The single father leaned forward, looked at her carefully, and with a voice carrying more concern than curiosity, he asked softly, "Who hurt you?" And before we dive deeper into this heart-touching story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of compassion to change someone's life, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel Kindness Tales. Together, we can spread stories that remind the world of the humanity that still exists in us all. Her name was Emily. Just 24 years old, life had already bruised her in ways she never imagined. Once full of dreams about finishing her college degree, starting a small bakery, and building a life filled with light, she instead found herself stuck waiting tables at a diner where smiles were served as part of the uniform, even when your own soul was crying. Emily had grown up in a home where love was a stranger. Her father had walked away when she was a child, and her mother's constant battles with addiction left Emily to raise herself. She had worked her way through school, taken night jobs, and fought for every ounce of independence she could get. But love had been her weakness. She had trusted someone she thought would be her forever, only to be left alone with nothing but debts he had piled onto her name before disappearing. It wasn't just heartbreak, it was betrayal so deep it made her doubt her own worth. For months she had been juggling bills, working double shifts, sometimes going without food to make sure rent was paid. Tonight, though, her spirit was breaking because it was the anniversary of when her dreams collapsed, the day she found the note he left behind and the empty closet where his belongings once were. The restaurant's cheerful atmosphere felt like a cruel contrast to her storm inside. Every laugh from a table nearby cut through her heart like a reminder of how alone she really was. Across the room, Daniel watched. He was a single father, raising his 6-year-old daughter Lily after losing his wife to illness 3 years ago. His heart had grown familiar with pain, with nights spent wiping his daughter's tears and mornings spent pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. Perhaps that's why he noticed Emily when no one else did, he recognized the silent language of someone holding back an ocean of grief. When he asked her quietly, "Who hurt you?" she froze, her eyes widening, the tray in her hand shaking so badly that she nearly dropped it. No customer had ever asked her that. Most barely looked at her beyond the food she served. She forced a smile, whispered, "I'm fine," and hurried away, but her trembling steps betrayed her words. Daniel didn't push. He knew the walls pain built were not easily broken, but he also knew the power of small kindness. So when she returned with the bill, he left not only a generous tip but also a small note written on the receipt, "Pain doesn't define you. Keep going, you are stronger than you know." Emily read it while clearing the table, and for the first time that day, her tears were not just from sorrow but from the strange warmth of being seen. She tucked the note into her apron pocket and clung to it like a fragile piece of hope. Days passed, and Emily kept seeing the father and daughter come in. They always sat at the same table, ordered the same pancakes for Lily, and shared quiet laughter. Each time, Daniel would greet Emily with a smile that carried no judgment, only understanding. Slowly, her mask began to crack, not in a way that showed weakness, but in a way that allowed her to feel human again. She would smile back, genuinely this time, and when Lily once handed her a drawing with the words, "For Miss Emily," scribbled in crayon, Emily felt something stir in her heart that she hadn't felt in years, belonging. Behind those moments, however, Emily's struggles continued. Late rent notices piled up. Her boss often scolded her for moving too slowly when exhaustion weighed her down. Some nights she went home to an empty apartment and cried herself to sleep. But those brief encounters at the diner, those simple gestures of kindness, became the light she desperately needed. Daniel had no idea how much he was helping her, just by caring. One rainy night, Emily's world finally cracked open. She was serving tables as usual, but the pressure of bills and the sting of loneliness became too much. When a rude customer berated her for bringing his order late, she excused herself, walked into the back storage room, and collapsed to the floor in tears. She thought no one noticed, but when she stepped back out, Daniel was waiting by the counter to pay his bill. He saw her swollen eyes, the way her chest still heaved from crying, and in that moment, he didn't care if it crossed a line. He gently said, "You don't have to carry this alone. Whatever it is. You're stronger than it, but you don't have to fight it without help." Those words broke something inside her, but instead of shattering, she felt pieces falling into place. For the first time, someone wasn't just watching her drown, they were reaching out a hand. And she took it. Over the weeks that followed, Daniel became more than just a kind customer. He became someone who checked in, someone who listened without judgment. Emily, in turn, found comfort in Lily's innocent laughter, which reminded her that life still held sweetness even after loss. Slowly, healing began. Her challenges didn't vanish overnight. Debt didn't magically disappear, and pain didn't stop visiting. But now Emily had a reason to keep moving forward. She applied for a small scholarship to return to part-time studies in baking, encouraged by Daniel, who believed she deserved to chase her dreams. She started saving every tip, no matter how small, and with Daniel's gentle reminders, she began to believe she was worthy of more than just survival. Months later, Emily stood behind the counter of a small cafe, not the diner she had cried in, but a warm little bakery she had fought to open with sheer determination. The smell of fresh bread and pastries filled the air, sunlight streaming through the windows. She looked around and saw Daniel and Lily sitting at their favorite corner table, smiling proudly at her. Emily's heart swelled. She wasn't the broken girl serving tables in tears anymore. She was someone who had fallen, yes, but also someone who had risen, thanks to kindness that arrived when she needed it most. And to all our dear viewers, if this story touched your heart and reminded you of the power of compassion, please like this video, share it with your friends, comment your feelings, and don't forget to subscribe to Kindness Tales. Every action you take helps us continue sharing these life-changing stories of humanity and hope. Before we end, we'd love to hear from you. What moment in your life has shown you the power of kindness when you needed it most? Please leave your answer in the comments. It may inspire someone else who is struggling right now. Emily's story reminds us all that sometimes the smallest question, "Who hurt you?" can be the beginning of someone's healing journey. We never know what battles others are fighting, but when we choose kindness, we might just be the reason they find the strength to keep going.